Now, this is tough because you're a humble guy, but objectively speaking, can you say what your strengths are? You're often listed as one of, if not the greatest player of all time. So what are the things that make you stand out?
So for me, when I grew up, I admired the big cash game players because that's what I was. I loved tournaments, but I wanted to be well-rounded. Like in my day, you couldn't make the Poker Hall of Fame if you just played one game. You had to jump into the high stakes games in Bobby's room, as they say, right? And I was able to do that. When I was in my mid-20s, I was playing 4,000, 8,000 limits. You could win or lose $1 million in a day. So I grinded it out. Like a lot of people think, oh, he's lucky, he's had sponsorship, otherwise he'd be broke. It's like I built multi-million-dollar bankrolls before any of that stuff existed. And I did it the good old-fashioned way by sitting my butt on the table. I think probably one of my biggest strengths is self-awareness. And in that regard, a level of humility that always allows me to say, okay, well, you know what? In this case with these players, they're better than me. So what am I going to learn from them? Right? Rather than have this need to say, I'm the best because of history. And I'm always looking to guys and go, wow, he does this really well, whether it's the Adamos or the Ivies or whoever it may be. So my willingness to adapt, I think, and stay relevant by learning what the young guys are learning is something I've always done. And I also pride myself on, again, being well-rounded, like playing all the games. Like I don't feel intimidated in any game, whatever the format is.
So always being a scholar of the game as the game evolves, as the different games evolve, the different players evolve, the culture evolves, always adjusting by being a scholar, having the humility to be a scholar.
A healthy respect for the younger generation, how they learn, what they learn, and what they can teach me, rather than poo-poo it. And say, oh, these kids today, because that's a lot of people, like the Mike Matasos and the Phil Hellmuths, my generation, they just poo-poo it because they don't understand it. On a level of 1 to 10, their level of understanding of this is like a 1, maybe, if I'm being generous by calling it a 1. They really don't understand it, so they poo-poo it, right? It's easy to do that. Like, oh, that's not how I do it, so that's wrong or that's stupid or whatever. I don't take that approach. I go, well, let me learn. Let me see what there is to this.
But that said, the crankiness that Matasow and Phil Hellmuth have is great to watch, especially when they're on a table with you.
I love it. Yeah. It's a blast. It's a blast.
You're masterful at being able to get under their skin. So,